What is going on, guys? It is Daniel Wright, and you're here listening to another episode of Paving the Way. And man, oh man, I hope your weekend is starting off great, and I hope you've had a great week. So, thank you for joining me this morning. I hope whatever you have planned for today and tomorrow, whether it's fun or work, whatever it is, I hope you enjoy it. So, guys, today I want to touch on a couple of things that were kind of on my mind recently, and that is three areas of growth that I try to put as much emphasis in my life as I can. And like I said, wanted to share it with you. So to dive right into it, first area of growth, personal growth. A lot of people kind of talk about personal growth, and it becomes kind of one of those like cliche topics, like, oh, it's a self-help book, or oh, it's a silly seminar or something like that you go to, and motivational speakers and this and that and blah blah blah. And I was probably one of those people for a while that said, who needs that? Just wake up and go to work and figure it all out, right? Well, that'll get you a good old nice average life if you're lucky. But I don't personally believe that we were put on this earth to live an average life. So over the last several years for me, I've put a lot of emphasis, a lot of effort into my personal growth and development. And when I say personal growth and development, there's a lot of aspects inside of that, right? Whether it's my knowledge, just things that I try to go learn. Anybody who knows me knows that I'm not a big academia, go to school and, get all the college courses and all that stuff. Like, that's not my thing. I'm not that type of a learner, but I love to learn. I love to learn by experience. I love to learn by trial and error. I love to learn by listening to other people talk about their experiences and, what they have. So bringing in information for me is always something I really enjoy, especially over the last several years, because once you start to do that, you start to realize, like, the old saying, the more you know or the more you learn, the less you know, right? So all of a sudden you start learning more stuff, and it's like, man, it just keeps coming and coming, and then you realize, man, I really don't know as much as I thought I did. So it's a fun game of kind of like a yin and a yang, right? It just keeps going back and forth. You think you're learning more, and you're like, oh gosh, I've capped out at what I can learn, and then you learn more of it. So it's a fun game for me. I like it. But also, growing personally in your relationships, whether it's, marriages, dating, family relationships, as a child or as a parent, as a spouse, a brother, a sister, a friend, whatever it may be, learning how to just be a better person in the relationships you're involved with, I think is something that, again, has just never ending opportunity. We're all doing this life together. We're all living together. We're all trying to experience this life and do the best we can together. And having those relationships and learning how to be the best participant in those relationships can be challenging. But at the same time, it can also be extremely rewarding. So the personal growth side of things is something that I like to put a lot of effort in. Like I said, I like my fitness and my health, because I believe that if I'm not, physically healthy, it definitely creates mental and emotional problems too, right? Let's face it. There's not many people that walk around 150 pounds overweight and they're emotionally and mentally happy about that. It just isn't how it works, right? So when you take care of your body, when you grow personally to make those things important in your life, then a lot of the other things will help, fall into place as well. So first area of growth is personal growth. Second area I got professional growth. That is something that I believe any contributing member of society is designed to do, is to grow professionally, right? We are put on this earth. We are put here to work, to provide, to contribute, things like that. And if we're not growing professionally, kind of like I said earlier, if you don't grow personally, you have just an average life. Well, if you don't grow professionally, you're going to have an average career, whatever that may be. And that's not to say that you can't say, hey, I want to enjoy being a warehouse worker for 30 years at a great company that I can, retire with great benefits and a pension or things like that. And I want to do that. There's nothing wrong with saying, not wanting to have to climb the corporate ladder your whole life. However, continuing to get better at what you do, whether it's just keeping up with technology, keeping up with training other people who's coming into your company or your department, whatever it may be, continuing to grow professionally will do nothing but open up opportunity for you. And that, like I said, that opportunity doesn't have to mean that you're just climbing a ladder and trying to make it to the executive level or the whatever it may be at the top, right? But when you do that, you're always providing value to the people that you're around. So whether it's your company you're working in, whether it's the vendors you work for, whether it's the employees and the peers that you have around you in your job, whoever it may be, when you're continuing to try and grow professionally, you're doing nothing but providing value. And that is when, like I said, opportunities become open to you that you would have never had before. Right. So I think there's probably some proverb or some, very wise individual at one point that said something about like opportunity doesn't show up to those who just sit around and wait. They show up to those who, get up and go look for it. So you're not going to find the opportunity sitting around just doing the same thing over and over, day in and day out, and never trying to make any progress. So even if it's that you're learning a little bit more every day about your profession, that your professional growth can take you places, then that's progress being made. And I encourage that all the time to anybody and everybody that I talk to, work with, interact with, anything like that. I ask them, I love asking people what they do, where they came from, and where they want to go. Right. So that's the second one there is professional growth. Area number 3 kind of ties the first two together. And that is something that me personally, that I think honestly anybody listening to this would probably agree that you isn't always easy, is spiritual growth. So I consider myself a Christian. I believe in God. I believe in Jesus. I believe I was created by him, for him, to be used for his good. And growing spiritually to me comes in a lot of different forms and formats, right? You have your stereotypical ways of, you go to church on Sundays, or you say, your prayer before your meal, or things like that. But growing spiritually, I think, encompasses a lot more than that. I think, yes, those things are important. If you're a Christian or whatever religion you practice, getting into the book that teaches that outlines how that works, I think that is extremely important. I think there's also other things that you have to tap into. And I was having a conversation recently with a friend, and he said, man, I just kind of work every day, and I just work hard because I really don't really know what kind of like the purpose of life is, or like what like the meaningfulness of anything else would be. So this is just what I do. And it just got me thinking. I'm like, man, you got to dive into something deeper than that. Like you really got to, just try and chisel away at what do you think that you were created for? What do you think that you were given as a gift and talents and things like that by your creator? And when you start to tap into those things, like I said, it ties the personal and professional growth together. Because I believe that, like I said a moment ago, we were put on this earth to work. We were put on this earth to have relationships. We were put on this earth to be the best version of ourselves, right? As a Christian, you hear oftentimes that, they say your body is a temple, right? Like God has created you to have a body as a temple. It's your responsibility to take care of it and to make it the best it can possibly be. And so when you tap into that spiritual growth side of things, it really helps you to see the much bigger picture of life. Because if you don't, then what are you doing? What are you doing it for? Right? You say you're living for your family. That's a fantastic reason to live for, right? It's people you love, you care about, you would do anything for them. But what happens when you're gone? What happens when they're gone? What do you have to live for? Well, if you're gone, you're not living, obviously. But you know what I mean? If things disappear out of your everyday life, what do you really have to live for? If you're not looking at the bigger picture of what you were put on this earth for, then you're just kind of existing. You're kind of going through day to day, going through the motions. On the spiritual side, there's a song that I've listened to for years, and I can't remember the exact name of it, but basically it talks about like I don't want to go through the motions. I don't want to go through this life just doing the same thing day in and day out. Like there's got to be a bigger purpose for me, for my life, and for what I was created for. And it really hits home because I believe there is a bigger purpose and a bigger picture. And when you tie these things together and you really tap into your personal growth and development, and when you tap into your professional growth and development, I believe that you're fulfilling your spiritual calling. Because if you tie all that together and you go back and forth and you make sure that everything is in alignment between those three, it kind of goes back to what I said, is you're just providing nothing but value to anyone and everyone around you. And what better way to give back to the people in your life than to provide them value, to be the best version of yourself, to be the best dad you can be, the best mom you can be, the best husband, wife, coworker, employee, boss, whatever it may be, whatever your roles are that you play in life. What better way to honor the people around you, to honor the one that created you, than to be the best version of yourself? So growing personally, continuing to develop yourself as an individual, relationships, your health, your knowledge, things like that. Continuing to grow professionally in your career, whatever that may be, making sure that you're able to show up and be the best version of you for the people who count on you. And then growing yourself spiritually, tapping into those reasons, those bigger callings, those bigger, purposes in life than what everything, on earth can give us. So, guys, those are the three things I wanted to share today. I hope they resonate with some. I know this time of year is kind of where we're all just maybe getting to take a few more trips, a few more R&R weekends that we maybe wouldn't normally get during the hustle and bustle of school years and things like that. So take some time to think about that. I know I'm getting to this weekend to spend some time with some family, celebrating a birthday party up in Indiana, and I just wanted to share that with you before I took off. So I hope you guys have a great rest of your weekend, and I look forward to